Alexis Nunes alongside Mark Ogden, and there's a bit of an American invasion going on at Leeds now that Brenden Aaronson has been signed on a 5-year contract. Augie, this is probably a signing that we would have expected with Jesse Marsch there at the helm. I hope he's ready for a roller coaster as we saw Leeds have this season in the Premier League. But what do you make of this signing?
Well, Leeds tried to get Aaronson in January, but he stayed at Salzburg because they were still in the Champions League. So it's a deal that's been, like I say, has been on the cards for a while. But you know, on the one hand, if I was a Leeds fan, I'd be happy that the club are making moves now and getting people in, because it is important after, you know, narrowly missing out on relegation last season that they strengthen. But I don't think Aaronson is the solution to Leeds' problems. You know, Leeds, for me, are defensively all over the place. They had the second worst defensive record in the Premier League last year, just after Norwich City, who were down. So Leeds need to tighten up at the back. So signing an attacking midfielder with, you know, a lot of potential but unproven is a risk. I think they could have looked to invest the money elsewhere, because we've seen other players. I mean, you know, Takumi Minamino is an obvious example. He left Salzburg to go to Liverpool, I think nearly 2.5 years ago now. Hasn't really cut it in the Premier League. So Aaronson has to make that step again. The Austrian Premier League to the Premier League is a massive jump. I think Leeds need players that are more equipped to move straight in, because Leeds have got good attacking players already. You know, Jack Harrison, Dan James, you know, Patrick Bamford when he's fit. They're not short of attacking quality. So for me, the issue is at the back.
And I'm sure that there's still a lot of players that will be looking at Leeds and going, there's still a lot of uncertainty. You know, Jesse Marsch 100% hasn't proven anything apart from they did survive only just on the last day of the Premier League. So still a lot of uncertainty there. In terms of defensive options out there that could, you know, fill these gaps that Leeds desperately need to fill, who are you hearing out there that may be a good fit?
Well, I mean, there haven't been many names linked with Leeds defensively, which is kind of concerning. And, you know, Leeds have adapted a model now. They brought Jesse Marsch in. They've got American owners who are, I think, connected to the San Francisco 49ers, so they want to go a certain way. And they were very keen to get Jesse Marsch into the club when they sacked Marcelo Bielsa in February. For me, Jesse Marsch has got a lot of work to prove himself. I think Leeds are in the situation they were in at the end of last season. Yes, because of Bielsa and the inability to defend, but Marsch didn't really make a difference. And Jesse Marsch has really got to step up to the plate at Leeds and prove that he's worthy of one of the biggest clubs in England. The Leeds are a big club, and I haven't seen enough from Jesse Marsch at Leeds yet to suggest he's the answer. You know, he dwelled at FC Salzburg, didn't do particularly well at Leipzig, where he lasted 6 months. So if I'm a Leeds fan, I'm thinking, has this guy got the credentials to take this club where it needs to be? I'm not saying Leeds are going to qualify for the Champions League anytime soon, but they're a big club with a big fan base, a very demanding fan base. And at times I wonder with Jesse Marsch whether there's so much positivity from Jesse. I think sometimes you have to have a bit more negativity and a bit more toughness at times at
Leeds. The English way.
Well, yeah, because unless you prove yourself to have the credentials to take that job on, I've not seen enough there. So yes, he kept them up the last day of the season, but Jesse Marsch has got a lot to do to prove he's the guy for Leeds.
I remember when Leeds got promotion, we got to have a great interview with Patrick Bamford. We got to speak to Kalvin Phillips as well as Jack Harrison, who's a great friend of ESPN. And all of them said that even though they were recently promoted and they had yet to even play officially a Premier League game, they felt like they were not going to be a team much like other newly promoted teams that just fight for survival. They felt like they deserved more. We know the fan base feels like they deserve more. Going into the new season, I know it's still quite early. Signings have yet to be made. But how do you see things panning out next season for them?
I think there's a lot of realism amongst the Leeds fans. Like I said, they're a big club with a big history, but they don't expect to be challenging Liverpool and Man City at the moment. But they expect to be doing a lot better than they did last season.
Exactly.
And they expect to be a tough, uncompromising team at times. I think they just want to see a bit more from everybody, really. I mean, you know, there's a lot of optimism at the club because the new owners have come in with big ideas about the stadium, about building the team, about getting to Europe. But last season was definitely a backward step. They almost were relegated last season. That would have been disastrous to the long-term ambitions. So I think Leeds need to be more like Leeds, if that makes sense, and be tougher to beat. And like I said, I'm not sure Jesse Marsch has that in him to make them tougher to beat and make them more uncompromising, because Leeds are far too open and far too easy to play against.
After what we saw with Leeds from last season and the struggles that they did have, they still do have really great players. Kalvin Phillips, who impresses a lot in an England shirt as well. Given this is a World Cup year too, are Leeds in any danger of losing some of their talisman?
I think Kalvin Phillips, it's going to be really hard to keep him at the club. No, he's a Leeds boy, he's a Leeds fan.
Yeah.
He is their talismanic player, but Manchester City like him, Manchester United like him, I think Aston Villa like him. Aston Villa got money. It's going to be really hard. I mean, if you're Kalvin Phillips, really right now, you want to be playing Champions League or European football, and Leeds can't offer that. So it's going to be a real tug on his heartstrings. Do you stay with your boy town club, or do Leeds actually look at it and think, if we sell Kalvin Phillips for 50, 60 million pounds, then we can reinvest that in players. And obviously the Leeds fans would hate to see him go, but it may be the situation right now where for Leeds to take the next step, they have to let Kalvin Phillips go, because he needs to be playing at a higher level now. He really needs to be playing Champions League or European football.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.